Sometimes, a woman won't say it, but her actions whisper the truth. She lingers near you, touches her hair when you're close, gets oddly quiet when other women come up, and finds reasons to talk to you. She's craving you, but fear, pride, or timing keeps her desire hidden in plain sight. A woman who is craving you but trying to hide it will often initiate contact in the most subtle and unassuming ways. It may not be obvious at first glance, but once you begin to notice the pattern, it becomes clear that she's making small, consistent efforts to stay connected. She might not text you directly with, "I miss you," or "I want to see you," but she will find excuses to pop up in your world. Maybe she sends you a meme she thought was funny, tags you in a random post, or asks for your opinion on something she already knows the answer to. These aren't just casual interactions. They're her way of keeping the conversation going without appearing too eager. She might say things like, "I saw something that reminded me of you," or "Do you still go to that place you mentioned?" These statements aren't random. They're a signal, a way to stay in your orbit without having to openly express her emotions. It's her attempt to remain close to you, to keep the door slightly ajar so you don't forget her, all while maintaining a sense of dignity and emotional safety. Often these little gestures are driven by a fear of rejection or vulnerability. She doesn't want to put herself in a position where she might be too exposed, so she chooses a safer route. A route where she can test the waters without diving all the way in. She's hoping you'll pick up on the clues she's leaving behind, hoping you'll take the hint and move things forward so she doesn't have to. It's not that she's playing games, it's that she's protecting her heart. You might also notice that she shows up in your digital world frequently, liking your posts, watching your stories, reacting to your content, not always with words, but with presence. This virtual nearness is a modern form of reaching out. She may not have the courage to express her desire outright, but her need to be seen by you, acknowledged by you, keeps pulling her back. And sometimes she'll pretend it's all casual, that the message she sent could have gone to anyone, that the event she invited you to was just a group thing. But if you pay attention, you'll realize that you're the common denominator in all her subtle interactions. She doesn't reach out to everyone this way. It's you. In these small but deliberate acts, she is saying, "I'm thinking about you," without ever having to utter the words. It's a gentle pursuit, wrapped in humility, masked by friendliness. But beneath it all is a yearning, carefully tucked away, but impossible to completely hide. If you really look, you'll see her desire unfolding in the quiet spaces between her words, and in every seemingly harmless moment she chooses to create just to be near you. When a woman is craving you but trying to keep her feelings hidden, her body often reveals what her words carefully conceal. Body language is the language of the subconscious. It speaks when the mouth chooses silence. She might tell you she's just a friend, or act like she's not thinking about you at all, but her posture, her eyes, and the way she positions herself around you often tell a much different story. You just have to know what to look for. Notice how she positions her body when you're in the room. Does she angle herself toward you, even if she's talking to someone else? Does she find a way to stand or sit closer, bridging the gap without making it obvious? These are physical cues of interest, subtle invitations without words. You might catch her fidgeting with her hair, adjusting her clothes, or gently touching her lips while you speak. Classic signs of heightened awareness and nervous energy. These aren't random gestures. They're instinctive reactions triggered by attraction. Her eyes can give even more away. Prolonged eye contact, looking at you and quickly looking away, or even watching you from across the room when she thinks you're not looking. These are all signals that she's tuned into you. A woman who is not interested doesn't linger with her gaze, but when she's craving you, even if she won't admit it, her eyes search for you, as if she's trying to read your mind, figure out your feelings, or simply absorb your presence without drawing attention to herself. You may also notice that her tone of voice shifts slightly when she talks to you, softer, warmer, a little more animated. Her laugh may come more easily, or she might lean in closer than necessary during conversations, lowering her voice to create intimacy without anyone else noticing. Her energy shifts when you're around, even if she tries hard to play it cool. And then there's the mirroring. Without even realizing it, she might start copying your gestures, your speech patterns, even your expressions. This subconscious mimicry is a strong indicator of emotional alignment. It means she's emotionally attuned to you, even if she hasn't consciously acknowledged her desire. At times, you'll see her pull back just as quickly as she leans in. She might fold her arms, avoid eye contact, or create physical distance suddenly, especially if she feels she's being too obvious. That push-pull dynamic in her body language is her inner conflict showing, her longing fighting against her fear. While her words might remain guarded or neutral, her body becomes the quiet narrator of her deeper truth. In all the small, often unnoticed ways, where she sits, how she reacts to your touch, the way she lights up when you enter a room, her desire surfaces. It's there, playing out silently, hoping you notice, but terrified you'll ask her to name it, because once it's spoken, it can no longer be hidden. When a woman is secretly craving you but doesn't want to admit it, jealousy often creeps in uninvited. It slips into her emotions and reactions before she even realizes it. She might pride herself on being composed, unbothered, and detached, but when another woman enters your world, or even just your conversation, her entire energy changes. And it's not always loud or dramatic. Sometimes it's so subtle that you almost miss it. But once you start paying attention, the signs become undeniable. Maybe you're telling her about a woman you met, and she suddenly goes quiet. Her responses become short, her tone shifts ever so slightly. She might force a smile or throw in a sarcastic comment, pretending it doesn't affect her, but it does. That silence or sarcasm isn't random. It's her way of managing emotions she doesn't want you to see. Emotions like discomfort, unease, even protectiveness. She's trying to suppress the heat rising within her, because admitting to jealousy would mean acknowledging a desire she's not ready to confess. In some cases, she might question you. Not directly, but in little ways. She might ask, "Oh, so is she your type?" Or, "Do you like girls like that?" It's disguised as curiosity, but it's not casual. She's comparing, measuring, trying to understand where she stands, without having to make her feelings known. If she didn't care, she wouldn't even notice. But because she does, she watches closely, analyzing how you speak about other women, who you follow, who gets your attention. Sometimes her jealousy takes the form of withdrawal. She may become distant, unresponsive, or act indifferent. She's protecting herself. If she feels threatened by another woman in your life, she might pull away before she allows herself to feel hurt. It's easier to detach than to risk emotional exposure. Other times, she might become overly critical, not of you, but of the other woman. She may make subtle jabs or dismiss her importance, acting like it's no big deal. But pay attention. The critique often comes from a place of insecurity masked as confidence. You might also see changes in her behavior after she sees you with someone else. Suddenly, she's dressing differently around you, being more attentive, or casually mentioning the other men in her life. Not to make you jealous per se, but to reassert her value and regain emotional control. It's an unspoken competition she doesn't want to admit she's part of. What makes it all so complex is that she's doing everything she can to not let her true feelings show. But jealousy, no matter how quiet, is an emotional reaction that doesn't lie. It surfaces in her eyes, in her tone, and in the subtle tension she tries to hide. And though she may never say it out loud, that invisible sting when you give your attention to someone else is often the clearest proof that deep down, she wants it to be her. When a woman is craving you but hiding it, one of the most revealing signs is how often she seems to coincidentally be around you. It might feel like fate, like the universe just keeps putting the two of you in the same place at the same time, but it's usually not just chance. If you look closely, you'll see that these accidental encounters are often gently orchestrated, She's showing up in your world because that's where she wants to be, even if she's pretending it's all unintentional. She might find out where you're going from a mutual friend or spot your location on social media and suddenly develop an interest in that exact place. She may claim she was just passing by or happened to be in the area. But if it keeps happening, if she keeps showing up where you are without ever directly inviting herself, it's likely not random. It's her subtle way of staying close, of being near enough to feel your presence without making herself vulnerable. It's not just physical places either. She'll show up online in ways that mimic this pattern. She's among the first to view your stories. She comments on posts right after you share them, or she appears active at the exact times you are. These moments seem like digital coincidence, but they often reflect her unspoken desire to remain connected and seen, without having to send a direct message or make her intentions obvious. Sometimes she'll create reasons to be in your environment. Maybe she suddenly develops an interest in a hobby or group you're part of, or starts hanging out more often with people you know. She might even offer to help with something you're involved in, not because she's trying to be overly helpful, but because being around you satisfies something deeper in her. She wants to be in your orbit, even if she's pretending not to notice you much at all. What makes this sign so easy to overlook is how casual she keeps it. She plays it cool. She won't rush over to you or draw attention to herself. She'll be present, but in the background, watching and waiting, hoping that her quiet presence speaks louder than words. She might smile when she sees you, give you a light wave, or start a brief conversation. But it's never too much, never obvious, just enough to maintain connection, just enough to leave you wondering. This repeated proximity isn't about coincidence, it's about emotional gravity. Something in her keeps pulling her back to you. She doesn't want to make the first move or confess what she's feeling, but her desire expresses itself through these carefully placed encounters. Whether she's walking into the same room, showing up at the same events, or randomly texting you when you're online, it's all a quiet effort to bridge the emotional distance without exposing her heart. When a woman is craving you but keeping her feelings under wraps, one of the most telling behaviors you'll notice is the way she teases you. Lighthearted, playful, and flirtatious. But she never lets it go too far. It's a dance she does skillfully, keeping things charged with just enough energy to spark curiosity, yet never allowing herself to become fully vulnerable. Her teasing is often filled with hidden meaning, wrapped in humor, and designed to keep your attention while giving her emotional safety. She might make fun of your habits, laugh at your quirks, or challenge you with witty remarks. These aren't mean-spirited jabs. They're her way of connecting, creating an inside world only the two of you share. She may say things like, "Oh, please, you think you're charming?" with a smirk that suggests she already knows you are. It's playful resistance, a shield and an invitation at the same time. By teasing you, she creates a space where she can engage with you emotionally without having to say something serious like, "I like you." What's important to notice is how consistent this behavior is. She keeps coming back to that teasing tone, often pushing boundaries just slightly to see how you react. But every time it feels like the moment could turn serious or more intimate, she pulls back. Maybe you tease her in return, and there's a charged silence, a moment when the energy shifts, but she quickly brushes it off with a laugh or changes the subject. This hesitation is part of her emotional conflict. She wants to be close to you, but doesn't want to risk being too exposed. Her teasing may also be physical. She might playfully hit your arm, steal something of yours for fun, or play games that involve touch. But again, only to a point. She'll get close, but not too close. She's aware of how much she can allow herself to give without making it obvious that she's craving more. The line is always carefully drawn, even if you can feel it moving a little at a time. In some cases, she might even joke about the idea of the two of you being together, just to test the waters. "Can you imagine if we dated? That would be a disaster," she might say with a laugh, but her eyes watch your reaction closely. These aren't random jokes. They're calculated remarks, wrapped in humor, used to gauge how safe it is to feel what she's feeling. What she's doing is keeping the spark alive without letting it ignite. Her teasing becomes a protective mask, allowing her to express desire without admitting it outright. It keeps her in your world, keeps you thinking about her, all while letting her stay in control of her emotional exposure. It's not indecision, it's defense. Because once she crosses that line, everything changes. And until she's sure you feel the same, she'll keep her desire hidden behind a playful smirk and a clever comeback. When a woman is craving you but hiding it, her emotional availability becomes one of the clearest yet most misunderstood signs. She might never say she wants you, but she opens herself to you in ways that are deeply personal, intentional, and intimate. She listens attentively when you speak, remembers small details you've shared, even the ones you might have forgotten, and makes a conscious effort to show up emotionally. This kind of attentiveness isn't casual. It's a form of closeness that goes beyond surface-level interest. She asks how you're really doing, not just out of politeness, but because she genuinely wants to know. She creates space for your emotions, lets you vent, and checks in on your mental state, not just once, but repeatedly. She might encourage you when you're down, celebrate your small wins, or support you through tough times without expecting anything in return. These emotional investments are quiet but intentional signals. She wants to be someone you count on, someone you look forward to talking to, not just because she cares, but because being close to your emotional world makes her feel connected to you in a deeper, more meaningful way. Often, she becomes your safe space. You notice that she listens without judgment, offers thoughtful advice, or simply holds emotional space for you when you need it most. It's easy to confide in her, and she never makes you feel like you're too much. What's happening here is that her desire for you is manifesting through emotional intimacy rather than physical touch. She might not be ready to cross that boundary, but this emotional nearness is her way of bridging the gap. At the same time, she may reveal her own vulnerabilities. She might open up about her fears, her past, or what she truly values. She shows you sides of herself that others don't often see, not for sympathy, but because she wants to be seen by you. When a woman allows herself to be emotionally naked around you, it's not just an act of trust. It's a quiet longing to be accepted, appreciated, and chosen. Another sign is how she prioritizes your well-being. She checks in when you're sick, remembers your important dates, and expresses concern when you're stressed or distant. These aren't behaviors she displays with everyone. If she's emotionally showing up for you consistently and selflessly, it's because you matter more to her than she's willing to admit aloud. What makes this emotional availability so deceptive is that it's easy to interpret it as just kindness or friendship. But when it's consistent, personal, and intimate, when she makes time for you in ways that exceed the norm, it's usually because she feels something stronger. Her craving for you doesn't always scream through her words. Instead, it flows through her emotional presence. And in those soft, subtle moments where she holds your emotions with care, her hidden desire begins to quietly unfold. When a woman is craving you but trying to keep her feelings under control, one of the most confusing and emotionally charged behaviors you'll experience from her is a pattern of mixed signals. One moment, she's fully engaged, smiling, laughing, leaning into conversations, texting you often, and the next, she's distant, cold, or completely unavailable. This push-pull dynamic isn't always intentional. In fact, it's usually a reflection of her inner emotional struggle between what she feels and what she's afraid to show. She wants to be close to you, but something, fear of rejection, past hurt, pride, or uncertainty about your feelings, makes her hesitant to fully open up. So instead of committing to either vulnerability or distance, she toggles between the two. You'll catch glimpses of her affection, Those moments where she looks at you just a little too long, laughs a little too hard at your jokes, or responds instantly to your messages. And just when you start to think she's into you, she suddenly pulls back. She delays her replies, becomes emotionally unavailable, or starts acting like nothing's going on between you. This inconsistency can be frustrating, especially if you're unsure how to interpret her behavior. But to her, it's a way of managing the emotional risk. She tests how much she can give without losing control. If she feels like she's getting too close, too vulnerable, or if she fears that you're not reciprocating at the same level, she withdraws to regain composure. It's a defense mechanism, a form of emotional self-protection that masks her true desire. Sometimes her mixed signals show up in the way she talks. She might compliment you in one breath and tease you in the next. She might say things like, "You're trouble," or "You think you're special, don't you?" Sentences that carry both attraction and resistance. There's often a layer of flirtation buried inside these ambiguous statements, but it's wrapped in enough sarcasm or humor to keep her safe from having to explain herself. Her physical presence follows a similar pattern. She may initiate hugs, playful touches, or lean into your space when she's feeling bold, then quickly back off the moment things feel too intense. She creates moments of connection, but won't let them deepen. It's like standing at the edge of a cliff, wanting to jump, but paralyzed by the fall. And yet, despite all this, she keeps coming back. That's the key. Mixed signals aren't the same as disinterest. If she truly didn't care, she wouldn't bother sending signals at all. But the fact that she continues to engage, even in an inconsistent way, reveals a hidden craving she's not ready to admit. Her emotions are there, conflicted, cautious, and intense. And while her behavior may leave you confused, it often speaks louder than the words she's too scared to say. When a woman is craving you but trying to keep her emotions hidden, one of the clearest signs is how she carefully avoids talking about her feelings for you. She might be open about many aspects of her life, her career, her family, her past, but when it comes to discussing how she truly feels about you, there's a noticeable shift. The topic becomes too sensitive, too risky, and so she dodges it with practiced ease. She'll change the subject, joke it off, or respond with vague answers, all to protect a truth she's not ready to admit. It's not because she's indifferent. Quite the opposite. The more she feels, the more she hides. Opening up about those feelings would mean exposing her vulnerability, risking rejection, and possibly altering the dynamic between you, especially if she isn't sure how you feel. So instead, she keeps things playful or platonic. You might flirt, you might share deep conversations, and you might even sense there's something unspoken lingering between the two of you, but she keeps it unspoken on purpose. Sometimes, you might try to gently bring the topic up. You might ask her something like, "Have you ever thought about us?" Or, "Do you ever wonder what this could be?" And just when it seems like she might finally let her guard down, she deflects. Maybe she laughs and says, "You're full of yourself," or "Don't get ahead of yourself." The response feels light, but the avoidance is heavy. These are moments when the truth is right beneath the surface, and she's doing everything she can to keep it from breaking through. Her avoidance might even go as far as creating boundaries that seem contradictory. She's emotionally available, present, affectionate in her own way, but quick to remind you that "we're just friends," or "this is nothing serious." It's confusing, but it's also intentional. She's craving a deeper connection, but fears what acknowledging it would mean. Because once it's said, it can't be taken back. And once it's real, it can be lost. This kind of avoidance also protects her pride. If she senses that you're unsure or that you're not ready to offer her something stable, she won't make the first move. Not because she doesn't want to, but because she's protecting her emotional dignity. She needs to know that if she opens that door, it won't slam shut in her face. So instead of confessing her feelings, she speaks in hints, in subtle behaviors, in everything except direct admission. And still, she stays close. Still, she invests emotionally. Still, she reacts when you talk about other women or when you create emotional distance. Her silence isn't indifference. It's a heavy, quiet craving masked by restraint. She wants you to know, but she needs you to be the one to make it safe enough for her to say it. Until then, she'll keep her feelings tucked away, silently hoping you'll hear everything she's not saying. When a woman is craving you but hiding it, her truth doesn't always show up in words. It lives in the quiet, subtle spaces between her actions. From her playful teasing to her emotional presence, her so-called coincidences to the way she shifts when other women are around, she's constantly sending signals she hopes you'll decode. Her mixed messages, her hesitation to express her feelings, and her carefully crafted boundaries all point to a desire she's trying to manage, not deny. The key is not to force her to confess, but to understand her emotional rhythm, because sometimes what she's not saying is exactly what you need to hear.